Memories are strange things. They come to us in many ways. Sometimes they are our lived experiences, and sometimes they are passed down in stories transmitted from generation to generation. And they often fuse, and it can be difficult to differentiate one from the other, and yet all are perfectly valid in the way that we view the world. Memories can be used as a weapon, but memories can also be used as a shield to keep us from the world. There was once a young woman who was hardworking, joyful, resourceful. She lived with her family in a small town when one day war was declared on her and her people. She was forced to hide away with her family. She was not allowed out, was not allowed to see anybody else. And for some time, she tried her hardest to adapt to this new situation. But over time, the young woman became increasingly afraid. And fear is a monster that grows the more you feed it. She began to wonder, how will I feed my family? What if I lose my job? How can I care for the older people of my family if I'm not allowed to see them? How can I be of use? How can I keep my family safe? And these feelings and thoughts began to overwhelm her. She absorbed them deep inside herself, and slowly that resourceful, hardworking, joyful young woman began to change. She started to snap at people around her needlessly. She became angrier. She became bitter, and the fear in her stomach made her stomach tighten. Her muscles began to tense. She struggled to eat. She couldn't sleep at night. It became too much. She was exhausted, drained, and empty. And one night, as she lay on her bed, the thoughts swirling around her mind, she began to recall the memories of her past. She thought about the stories of her grandfather, a man who had sacrificed his life so that his daughters could live a better life. She remembered her mother, the most beautiful woman that she had ever seen, who worked 3 jobs and yet still found the energy to sing. She remembered her grandmother, a woman who told her story after story after story. And as she lay on her bed, one of those stories came to the fore. It was Frog and Rabbit, who were walking through a forest when suddenly Frog fell down a hole, and Rabbit could not get him out. And so Rabbit, his friend, went to find help. But when he returned with a ladder, he saw Frog out of the hole. "How did you get out?" And Frog replied to his friend Rabbit, "When you were gone, a snake entered that hole. I had to get out." The woman smiled because she realized that she was Frog, and she was in that hole, and fear was that snake. She knew what she had to do. She reached in and grabbed that snake by the throat. She wrung its neck and tossed its corpse to one side. She looked around and located the footholds, and slowly that young woman began to climb. She pulled herself higher and higher, and even when she began to slip and slide, she found those footholds and she continued to climb and higher until, pa! She pulled herself out of that hole. And as she sat on the edge, a war raging around her, she noticed that the colors in the world were just a little brighter. The sound of the birds was a little sweeter. She had worked hard. She had committed. She had endured, learned new skills, and she was now free. And even though they did not know, she would be an inspiration to her family for generations to come. And when the war was finally declared over, the young, joyful, resourceful, hard-working young woman, she was ready to face the world anew.